Hi, third graders. Today I'm going to be reading you a story called Escaping to America, a True Story. And it is by Rosalind Shanzer. And this story starts in the country of Poland. So I just wanted to show you the map before we begin the story. So here we are in Connecticut. Poland is the green country over here. And the story starts, I'm going to show a better picture. So here's Poland, and it begins in a town called Sochocin, and that is near the capital of Poland, which is Warsaw. It's very close to Warsaw, and they are going to travel to the coast of Poland up here to get on a ship. And then they're going to go from Poland all the way to America. Okay, so here is the story. And today I'm just going to read half of it, and then tomorrow you'll get to hear the second half. So, Escaping to America, a true story. And it says Sochocin, Poland, 1918 to 1921. And this takes place at the same time that Letters from Rivka takes place. But remember, she was in Russia, not Poland. Here's the story. My family journeyed to America long before I was born. They came from a tiny town in Poland called Sochocin, and therein lies a tale. I would like you to meet my grandfather, Abba Goodstein. Abba's acting and singing were famous. He was full of fun and loved to stand on his hands and ride on horses upside down. He could also do wild Russian dances, jumping high into the air and touching his toes with his fingertips. His strength was legendary, and he was so smart that he could add up long columns of big numbers in his head in split seconds. Abba was married to Pearl, my grandmother. Pearl could play the mandolin and had a warm smile for everyone. She liked to draw or sew lacy butterflies and colorful birds with swirling plumes. And she even designed fancy buttons to be made from seashells in the family's small button factory. Abba and Pearl also owned a restaurant that was fragrant with the smells of mushroom, herb, and barley soup, slippery homemade noodles, and freshly baked bread. Sometimes plays were performed in the restaurant very late at night. My grandparents had 3 children, whose names were Ida, Sammy, and Ruthie. When the family decided to leave their home forever, Ida was 4, Sammy was 3, and Ruthie was less than 1 year old. Sammy grew up to be my father. A fern-filled forest grew all around the tiny town of Sochocin, and a river as clear as glass tumbled swiftly through it. White storks with long pink legs stood watch from the chimney tops as geese, goats, and towering tangles of wildflowers danced beside winding dirt roads. In the forest, Ida and Sammy picked wild berries for breakfast and wild mushrooms for soup. But little Sochocin was no paradise. Several different armies were chasing one another across the countryside and fighting a terrible war. Soldiers often stormed into towns without warning and carried off all the food and booty they could find. One day, Abba was standing outside his restaurant when he was surrounded by Cossack soldiers pointing rifles at his chest. Abba smiled fearlessly, and in his most magnificent voice, he started singing a Cossack marching song. The soldiers lowered their rifles and began to laugh and sing and slap Abba on the back. Finally, still singing, they got on their horses and rode away. Another time, 3 soldiers on horseback attacked the family as they rode in their cart with Pearl's father. They threatened to cut off his long red beard, which his religion forbade him to cut, and one soldier started swinging a bayonet at Abba's neck. Abba knocked the soldier out cold, and the other 2 rascals fled in fear. The Goodstein family was Jewish, and many peasants did not like the Jewish religion. Mobs in Sahochin beat up elderly Jews and smashed their shops. Troublemakers accused Jews of being spies, first for one side and then the other. One hot summer afternoon, an honest rabbi wiping his forehead by an open window innocently waved his damp handkerchief out to dry and was shot as a spy trying to send signals to the enemy. Jews and non-Jews alike dug deep trenches in the rich black soil of their potato fields to hide from the flying bullets. And long after midnight, any army in need of new soldiers might burst into the homes of sleeping peasants and take all the men of fighting age far away from their families, never to be seen again. There had been so much shooting that to be safe, the family took shelter in a nearby town. When the fighting died down, they returned to find that soldiers had robbed their house and smashed their restaurant. Pearl heard that a non-Jewish friend of hers since childhood had led the soldiers to their house and given their belongings away. "Why did you give away all our things?" she asked. "You don't need them anymore," the woman replied. "You Jews are all going to be killed anyway." Life seemed bound to get much worse in Poland. Although nobody was permitted to leave the war zone, Pearl and Abba agreed to find a way out. The family believed that their best hope for a new life lay in America, but no more Polish people were allowed to enter the country. Abba's older sister, Yitta, had moved to America 14 years earlier and now lived in Knoxville, Tennessee. With her husband and their 4 children, Abba wrote a long letter asking if she could help. Yitta wrote back that she would do her best. First, she traveled all the way to Washington, D.C. to visit her congressman. She convinced him that she would find jobs for her family so that they would be permitted to enter the country. Then she gathered the huge stack of official papers they would need, bought them tickets for passage aboard the Dutch ship Kroonland, and sent everything to Poland with a Knoxville woman who took documents to Jewish people moving to America. By August 1921, each of the travelers packed one everyday outfit, one dressy outfit, and a pair of galoshes into some wicker suitcases and bundles made of blankets tied with ropes. Only a few small treasures were added, some photographs, a puffy blue comforter filled with goose down, a few hand-woven tablecloths and empty pillowcases with fancy tassels, and Pearl's shiny red wedding dress. Pearl's mother pleaded with her to bring the family's silver Sabbath candlesticks and wine cup, but Pearl could not bear to take these special things away from the family members who decided to stay in Sahochin. Abba and Pearl also knew that soldiers and robbers were likely to take from them anything of value, so everything else they owned and all their money had to be left behind. The day they left, the travelers and their brothers, sisters, and parents staying behind hung a big fancy blanket and 3 paintings on the side of a barn. Then they posed for a photograph showing the whole family together for the last time. Everyone was crying. A clever trick was planned to get out of the war zone. First, everyone hid their luggage beneath a false bottom in a hay wagon. Then Abba took cover underneath a big pile of hay with farm tools sticking out of it so that he wouldn't be captured by soldiers and drafted into some army, or worse. Dressed as farmers going to the fields, Pearl and the 3 children sat in front of the wagon with the driver disguised as a very old man. A pet cow walked beside the wagon to supply milk for the children. All went well until a cloud of dust arose in the distance. Abba sprinted into the woods where he could scout ahead without being seen. Many soldiers soon surrounded the wagon and stabbed their sharp bayonets deep into the hay to see if anyone was hiding. They made Pearl trade one of her wagon wheels for a broken one from their supply wagon. Then, as the children cried, a soldier took the pet cow to the edge of the road and shot it for food. And I am going to stop there. Tomorrow, we will read the second half of the story. But in your journal, I want you to answer these 2 questions. How was the Goodsteins' escape from Poland similar to Rivka's family's escape? And the second question is, how was their escape different?